Okay, so next on our agenda is something maybe a little different than we are used to. So you probably, or most of us, know Navid Constantinou, but he collaborated with you, other people, not directly in our sphere, to create something new called Dark Oceanography, and I'll let them introduce it. So Kate Milligan from the University of Sydney is also here, and Louise Devenish, and I think they also collaborated with Aaron Wyatt, who is not here today, but was part of the team.
Thank you. Well, let's see how this works. Because this is a great slide. I love this slide. By the way, I'm working on this, but well, let's move on to this. All right. So, where's all our names? Anyway, our names should be here, but well, I'm very, very happy to introduce this project. This is called Dark Oceanography, and I have together with me Louise Devenish from the Monash University. She's a percussionist and a lecturer there, and also Kate Milligan from University of Sydney. She's a musical composer and a PhD student at the School of Music in the University of Sydney. I'm Navid. For those who don't know me, I'm an oceanographer. I'm not a musician. I'm an oceanographer. I'm an ocean modeler. And yeah, I'm sure you have a lot of questions, perhaps. I mean, I've been hearing these questions, like how come, how does this come about, what is it, what about more, I don't know, like things like that. We'll try to get to them. This has been my favorite project this year. I'm very passionate about this thing, and I'm very passionate about this interaction. It's very interactive and very collaborative. We are very sad to be missing Aaron. He was going to come here, but we'll tell you about his part in this thing and how integral he is going to be. So I'll let Louise start by, taking it away.
Thanks, Navid. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Louise. I'm a percussionist, artistic researcher, and director of the Sound Collectors Lab, which is a creative lab for new music based in the School of Music at Monash University. The Sound Collectors Lab brings together different teams of researchers, so musicians, visual artists, spatial designers, technologists, and scientists together to make new musical performance works. One of the key research themes of the lab is environmental and climate communication through music, which brings us to this event today, which we're really thrilled to be at, by the way. And our core research questions related to this theme ask, what's the role of music in addressing the communications challenge surrounding the climate crisis? And at the same time, asking, how does musical practice change, become different, maybe more exciting, as a result of collaborating with scientists and transferring our ideas, research processes, methods across the two disciplines? So this project we're talking about today, Dark Oceanography, is part of a collaboration between the Sound Collectors Lab and the ARC Centre of Excellence for the Weather of the 21st Century. And it's part of a broader project called Sonic Vocabularies. And Dark Oceanography came about after a series of meetings and workshops and experiments that led then to a call out to bring together a team that included the three of us that you see on stage and also Aaron Wyatt, who's a music technologist. We also worked with the David Lee Sound Gallery, which is based at Monash University. And this is a really cool space to develop a new music performance work in because it houses a Maya Constellation spatial audio system, which means that this building, this room, has a 63-channel audio system built into the walls and the ceilings. There are speakers, there are microphones embedded in the room. And this system, they're designed really to be like acoustic treatment. So you can kind of turn them on or off and you can make the acoustic of the room really resonant, like you're in a big cathedral, or really dry, like this room. And so when we were talking with the David Lee folks and saying we want to make this new work with music, with science, and we heard about this system and thought, well, what would happen if we treated the room like a musical instrument? What happens if we get a bit creative with that technology as well? And so Dark Oceanography came out of these conversations, and it's a 50-minute music performance work for 3 percussionists and spatial audio. It integrates climate modelling with experimental music, and it translates and transforms and integrates ocean eddy data into compositional and performative language. So we fooled around with how the behaviour of ocean eddies could inform a musical performance work. And so the data that we used in this work informed the gestures that we used to sound our percussion instruments, the notation, you'll hear more about this from Kate, the performance setup and the dramaturgy of the whole thing. And the idea was that the audience would be placed in the centre of this space, surrounded by musical instruments with this spatial audio system around and above as well. And we were basically asking what would happen if we tried to make a climate model out of music? And what would the experience of understanding eddy behaviour be like if we were experiencing it as sound in motion?
Yeah. Well, does this play? Because, all right. Okay, so, yeah, when initially Christian reached out to me and told me, I think you should join this meeting. It's with some musicians. They want to make something. You know, something with ocean and music, and I was like, all right, great, because I don't know if people who know me know that I have like a big connection with music. I sing all the time, I play music all the time. People who work with me in the same corridor may have suffered by this or enjoyed it. So hearing that, like, oh, this is the chance to blend my two worlds. So we had the first meeting with Kate and Louise and some other people, and Kate and Louise came with some figures of like convection and large eddy simulations that didn't refer to them like that, but I was astonished. But then I showed them these ocean eddies, like, because that's my favorite thing in the ocean, these ocean eddies, all these circular features that you see here, you were seeing here in this animation of the North Atlantic, and we were like immediately all mesmerized. Yes, this is the ocean flow feature that we wanted to base this musical piece on. And I'll leave it to Kate to talk a bit more about what happened next. I'll move the slides.
Yeah, next slide, please.
Yeah.
So there are various ways in which our team has translated or integrated eddy data into this musical performance context. And by eddy data, we mean both the numerical modelling data that Navid contributed to the project, but also the soft data around eddies, which includes our contextual knowledge, the ecological or cultural significance of eddies, and more broadly, our capacity to know them as land-dwelling creative researchers. So I'll be talking about two approaches to thinking about eddies through music. The first is notation, which is the way in which we represent musical information visually. And the musicians read this notation live in performance. The second way is instrumentation. And by this we mean the choices around instruments and the associated techniques that we use in any given piece. So starting with notation, you can see here on the screen two excerpts from the Dark Oceanography score. Percussion 1 is represented by the top row, percussion 2 by the middle row, and percussion 3 is the bottom row. They are playing here simultaneously and reading left to right across the screen. And so this may not look like any musical notation that you may have encountered before, and that's because it's a less common approach to notation called gestural notation, which is where we represent on the page the movement of the performer's body instead of the resulting sound. So in this instance, the eddies that I have given for each performer correspond to the movement of the arm or the wrist or even the fingers across an instrument. And the general idea is that we are compelling the musicians to quite literally move in eddy patterns at the micro scale, so perhaps at the fingers, and also at the macro scale as they circulate to different points in the room throughout the piece. And it all contributes to this very visceral sense of circularity and flow around the audience. And so this leads me to instrumentation. Nice one, Navid. We collected a family, or a group, of percussion instruments which really lend themselves to these eddy gestures, working from very small instruments like marbles or glockenspiel bars right up to larger instruments like bass drum and timpani. And this sort of micro to macro progression was inspired by the notion of inverse energy cascade in ocean currents and the flow of energy from these micro to macro scales. So we had some rather unusual instruments, including the one which is on the screen, which is an antique glass fishing float, or a buoy. And activating this float with a marble, so tracing a marble across its surface with the eddy patterns, results in a very fragile sound, which to me, at least, very much sounded like the wash of waves as you might hear them underwater through an underwater microphone or a hydrophone. So we really liked these floats as they represent a single node in a much larger oceanic system, which is very much a theme that pervades dark oceanography. And we also used this approach in our sort of approach to the digital audio component. So each of the signals from the 3 percussion setups was sent to the spatial sound system and circulated in real time in the room. And Navid is going to talk a little bit, in Aaron's absence, about the music technology component to this project.
Yeah. So, yeah, Louise talked about this room. Imagine this room with 64 speakers around, and we can tell the sound where to play when. So, so this is what Aaron did. Like, he was able to transform, take the NetCDF files that I give them with that I was like slices, 3-dimensional slices of ocean eddies from the East Australian current from ACCESS-OM2 0.1 degree model. So, you know, we were like puzzled a bit. How do we make this? Like, how do we convert this into sound? At some point, I mentioned we can put some rubber ducks, like Lagrangian trajectories, we call them. You know, we can put some Lagrangian trajectory. We can compute some Lagrangian trajectories, and then use those trajectories to direct the sound around the room. I mentioned the Python package parcels, and you know, this was over a Zoom meeting, and then we, you know, everybody picked the idea. I was thinking, oh, now I have to make that. I was thinking I'll need to, you know, I don't know, I've never done it. I'll call up Hannah, try to do it. Like next morning, I get an email. Yeah, I've done it. Aaron said, like, send me these Lagrangian trajectories. You know, I don't know. Somehow he figured it out. He was like, I couldn't believe it. And from computing these trajectories, then he was able to, let me see, does this play? He was able to tell the full, is it playing? It's not playing. All right. These are the 3 eddies, for example, 3 eddies that correspond to each of the percussionists. And he was able to tell the whole room how the sound of these 3 percussionists should be moving around, like, you know, following the trajectories of 3 different eddies. So, yeah, that was all Aaron being able to translate data to sound. And I think, what's next? I think we can. So we'll show you a little bit. We'll show you a small video of the performance. You won't get the experience of the 3-dimensional eddy sound, but what can we do? You had the chance to come. We might. I mean, yeah. Let's listen to it. Will this play? This is always the risk. It's playing. Is there sound? I don't think there's sound. I don't think there's sound. Who is there?
Oh, here we go.
Thank you very much. That was very interesting. Very cool. We're a bit late with time, but they are very keen on hearing your questions and to have conversations. So after this, and also for the Cosima dinner, they'll be there. So please get in contact and chat with them. And now, thank you.